Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back with a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review. This is number 67, and I am virtue being joined by just three other people today for a total of four, and that is, of course, Aaron Rift, all decked out in the NoDQ.com hat and the great NoDQ.com debate shirt, which I have a gut feeling that thing is going to start taking off, Aaron, but it's top secret information right now. Of course, I'm also joined by Robbie Weiss and TJS. What's up, everyone? I will start with the boss man, Aaron.
I'm doing well. I'm excited for the move of NXT to the USA Network. It's going to be a very interesting end of the year for sure. NXT versus AEW. It's now set in stone. They're going head-to-head 2 hours. We also have a lot of other topics coming off of SummerSlam weekend. Got a lot to talk about. We got great reviews for last week's episode of the review. I think this week will go just as well. TJS, how you feeling, man?
Oh, I am absolutely exhausted. But the good news is that I got
From what?
I've been studying at work for this test. They wanted this certification. I finally got the CompTIA A+ certification. All good now. So, I'm ready to talk about some wrestling. It's been an all right week. Robbie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. We're going to see the Velveteen Dream headline a brand against AEW. And we've been saying all along, that's the secret weapon. And I'm really curious to get your guys' take on it and if you're excited or terrified.
All right, well, let's get started, and I'm ready for this because, first of all, I have a bone to pick with people that aren't medical doctors. All they do is go on WebMD, right? If Edge, Adam Copeland, wants to make a comeback for one match, right? We'll just hypothetically say one match. Or we won't say Saudi Arabia either, because I don't want to think of that scenario. He's got doctors. WWE has doctors. Let them figure that out. Don't go saying, oh, it's not safe. Don't come back or we'll condone you. So if medically cleared, should Edge make a comeback for at least one more match? That's what I want to start off with today. So, Aaron, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
Well, if he is medically cleared, and that's the big question, right now, it doesn't appear like WWE doctors are going to clear him. And I would think that if Edge was physically able to come back, WWE would be making him a huge offer. We would be seeing Edge at the next Saudi Arabia show, or maybe not. I feel Edge would be the type of guy that if he could do it, he would do it. He was talking about retiring before he ended up having to end his career early. But at the same time, I think that every wrestler has that itch to compete, even after they're retired. And you look at Terry Funk, you look at countless other names, people that retired and then came back. I think if Edge could physically do it, I think he would come back for one more match. But that might not even be something that is in his control. And I know he did talk about on his podcast the idea that maybe at some point he could do stem cell treatment that could possibly lead to him being able to be cleared for one more match. But I think it's unlikely. I don't see it happening. I think that he had a great career and there's really no need for him to come back. But man, the pop he got in Toronto was out of this world. Now, granted, it was Toronto, but still, Edge, he could come back and he could have one or two more big matches. And, I could see WWE throwing the money at him if he was medically able to do it. The fact that he hasn't come back yet leads me to believe he physically can't do it. So that's my take on it. Robbie, would you like to see Edge come back? And if he did come back, let's just say for argument's sake, who would he be going up against? Who would be the best opponent?
It's the $1 million question, man. Yeah, I would like to see Edge came back if it makes sense. If he's in a match and he's in a storyline that isn't just some throwaway match for the sake of having a match, I would love to see Edge in the ring again because the guy can tell a great story and it would be kind of neat to see some redemption. I just don't know if they could do that in one match. So for me, it would have to make sense and it would have to be to put someone over. I would love to see him take on some guy like the Velveteen Dream to give him the rub. But again, the story has to make sense and the opponent has to make sense. And I don't know if I trust creative WWE to actually go through with it. And we pretty much know at this point, I don't think the medical team is ever going to clear Edge to. I just don't think they view the risk reward as worth it. Or else, like you said, Aaron, it would have happened already.
Now, TJS, Daniel Bryan was never supposed to wrestle again either because of brain, which is right up there with neck is really, really critical. Now, Shawn Michaels had a back injury, right? He had his herniated discs repaired, whatever, if he had steel put in his back. 4 years later, he come back. But that's different. So Bryan did come back, right? We very, very highly doubted that at one point. So that's why I'll never say never. Now, Bryan's back in a whole new role, wrestling frequently. We're talking about one match. And if it's done safely with no neck spots, I think it could happen. But again, everything is such a protocol for WWE now with concussions and injuries. I mean, look at Paige. So what do you think? And I think you're thinking Edge versus Daniel Bryan, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I am actually. I'll say it. I've said it once. I'll say it again. Daniel Bryan is doing the work of his career. I praise him every time I get the chance because this guy's doing great. On talking about Edge. Okay, so I'll admit that his last match wasn't really his best match. I think it was against Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely not a dream match by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like if Edge did come back for another match, then he would get on like the Goldberg syndrome where he's like, oh, I just want to, or maybe the Undertaker syndrome where it's like, oh, I just want to keep wrestling. And I'm worried that eventually it'll lead to something bad happening, like an injury. Because, you know, you can do one match and then, he could say like, oh, it went so well, I can just do another and another and another. And then eventually he could actually get very hurt, which I don't want to happen, but I do think it's unlikely. But like Virtue said, we thought Daniel Bryan would never be back. And like I said, here he is today doing the work of his career. But yeah, Edge versus Daniel Bryan, I think that would be an excellent match. Or Edge versus Adam Cole or something. I think that would also be good. Really, Edge can't have a bad match. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I would like to see it happen. But again, protocols, it probably won't. I think a great opponent for him if he did come back is AJ Styles. Does anybody ever remember AJ injuring anybody? He might be one of the safest workers I think I've ever seen. I mean, he protected Ellsworth on what tucked his head on the Styles Clash. And as that's happening, he knew that to kind of come up light. So that would be a great scenario. What do you think, NoDQ Galaxy? Go ahead, Aaron.
How about, now I'll ask you this because you mentioned AJ Styles and his reputation. What about Seth Rollins? Like, I feel Seth would on paper be a good opponent, but we know what happened with Sting.
No buckle bombs.
I
yeah,
mean,
definitely not.
Seth has been okay since all of that, right? So maybe he's learned.
They did have that segment where Seth was gonna curb stomp Edge. You remember that a while back? And he's like, I'm gonna kill him anyway. So I mean, there you go. Put that in there. Add some, even though
that
Rollins
would create drama because people, you know how the fans love reality. Oh my God, is Rollins going to really hurt Edge? It's a risk. That might actually be good if it happened.
If you think of like Shawn Michaels coming back in 2002 versus Triple H, that whole match was built around maybe Shawn Michaels isn't 100%, and Triple H kept working over his back in that match. And that was considered one of the all-time great SummerSlam matches. So, yeah, if you had a match where Edge is going in there and the heel is working over his neck, I mean, that would be a really intense match for sure.
So let's see. What do you think, NoDQ Galaxy? You know where to put your thoughts in the comments. Let's move on. There's new Raw Tag Team Champions. So first of all, what did the OC, the club, whatever they're called, Gallows and Anderson, how long did they have those belts? A minute?
Like 2 weeks.
Okay. TJS, I'm going to start with you because I can't believe how quick Nicholas grew up. And I said that on Twitter. Go ahead. You know what the topic is. Talk about it.
Yeah. Man, I'm okay with the whole... Actually, you know what? No, I'm not okay with the whole baby faces being tag team champions because we've seen it before. It's not original, and it's coming at the expense of established tag teams such as the OC. We had this storyline with Shawn Michaels and John Cena a while back, Undertaker and Steve Austin. It's played out. I'm tired of it. Because the tag team division is bad enough right now. So I feel like we need to actually have a tag team division. There needs to not be singles competitors in the tag division. There needs to be established tag teams. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman did nothing to earn the title shot. Absolutely nothing. They were just like, oh, we're going to talk to the McMahon family and get our tag team match. So what's going to happen now? I thought the OC were getting a major push, the one that they deserve, but apparently not. Apparently, odd couple, Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, are going to be Raw Tag Team Champions for the time being. How long will this go on? I bet they'll lose it before the next pay-per-view, and that's going to lead to the Universal title match. Just ridiculous. The only way that I'm okay with this is if OC beats Strowman and Rollins clean, which you know they won't, because Rollins is the Universal Champion. It's ridiculous. Robbie, I know that you're not a fan of this either, so...
Well, he had his whole scenario kind of just temporarily extinguished because of this, or could that lead to something?
Oh, no. I think this actually makes that more likely. I still see Strowman is the one that's going to probably go heel here because I don't think Vince is going to turn Seth Rollins anytime soon. So, yeah, I think it's one step closer to that. I don't like it in the sense of we're using the tag team championships as a prop for a bad 3-week storyline. I'm not a huge fan of that at all.
You're giving it 3 weeks?
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I was looking at the OC becoming a more dominant faction with AJ eventually starting to go for that Universal title spot. And we could have this big buildup where Seth is constantly battling them and they can go back and forth and you could throw Roman in there, whatever. But yeah, they're using the tag team titles as a prop. I'm not cool with it. I don't really have a lot more to say. I think TJS covered a lot of my feelings on there and I don't like it whatsoever. But there is a chance this leads to Braun Strowman turning heel and my whole thing could come to fruition and I will look like a predictions god. So
all right, well, good points there. Now, Aaron, I don't think you want to see Braun heel. Wouldn't you like to see AJ heel out of not AJ? He's already heel. Seth out of this.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that. I could definitely see the OC winning the titles back in 2 weeks, and I mean, quite frankly, the titles really haven't meant much to me personally in a long time. I argue once again, let's just merge the titles and have the champions appear on both shows, and that's the wild card. The wild card is if you hold the championships, you get to be on both shows. And that way you don't have so many titles and there's more to fight for. And if you become champions, you get to be on both shows, which means you make more money. To me, that's a logical storyline. But yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm really not that angry because I really wasn't caring much about the OC in the first place. I don't like the name. And I think they need to do something different. The whole Too Sweet thing. I don't know. Anderson and Gallows, they're fine, but I want to see something different. So I'm not really that bothered by it.
Well, I think it was done for one reason, for something to do for both Rollins and Strowman, because they don't know who they want to challenge for the Universal title yet. Maybe it's Braun, right? So that's why they're doing this. But the fact that they did it and they're tag champs, they don't know. That's why this Roman Reigns thing is dragging on, because I really don't think they know, or if they do, it's changing every week. But nonetheless, we'll move on. And how about this? The rise of Buddy Murphy. Now, several weeks ago, I said, oh, that better not be Buddy Murphy in the shot with Roman for a match at SummerSlam. But here we are. Now he's getting good match after good match. Roman, Daniel Bryan. And did his round 1 King of the Ring match happen yet versus Ali? No? Okay, so people are hyped about that. Think about it. People are hyped about a 205 Live match on the main show. There you go, Noah Foster. So, Rob, I'm going to start with you. What do you think of the rise of Buddy Murphy? Is it another wrestler just killing time that'll fizzle into nothing? Or could he become something?
He could become something if they book him right. I think he needs to get some new ring gear, though. I'm really not a fan of those short pants things that are all tore up. But he has good facial expressions. He has a good demeanor and an attitude. He has a pretty fun moveset. And I don't think he just looks like a 205 Live guy. I think he has enough charisma that he could be something more than that. So I'm actually all for it. I like him better than I like Ali. He doesn't really come off as generic as some of these other 205 Live guys do. And I'm actually looking forward to it. I think booked correctly, this guy could be a great heel underdog, a different type of gimmick we don't normally see. But I think if anyone can pull it off, he can.
Now, Aaron, you know why I'm getting somewhat invested into Buddy Murphy? Simple formula here. See if you agree with me. He's been getting backstage segments, getting beat up, or, the Attitude Era segments. And it's just a few, just enough to where I somewhat cared about his matches. So what do you think on Buddy Murphy?
Oh, I agree with you. I do like the backstage segments. It's giving him some personality. It's getting the fans a chance to get to know him a little bit more and have a reason to care about him. And he's going out there and having good matches. But yeah, if he just went out there and had the good matches, people wouldn't really care. It's all about making the character sympathetic and getting people invested in the character. And they can see that Buddy Murphy is a guy that he's trying to be honest here. He's going out there. He's having the matches. He's not a coward. He's just doing what he can to help the situation, and fans are starting to get behind him. Now, will his push last a lengthy amount of time? The jury is out on that. We saw what happened with Ali. He was getting a push for a while, and now he's kind of fizzled out. So the jury is still out, but the fact that the crowd was chanting "Let's go, Buddy" on SmackDown, I think that's a good sign. I think it's a sign that the crowd is starting to care about him and have that emotional investment in him just beyond the actual wrestling. They're starting to know the character and start to care about him a little bit. TJS, anything else you would like to add on it?
Okay, I'm gonna get heat for this, but I think that Buddy Murphy is better than Kenny Omega. I really do think that. As far as like in-ring work,
you
I think...
gotta elaborate, because I'm sure we got Omega fans that are about to just crusade the comments right now for you.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Kenny Omega. Like, I feel like part of the reason why I don't like him as much is because he's so overhyped, and everyone's like, "Oh, Kenny Omega 7-star, it's so good, man." And I just don't feel like his matches are that good, because I see V-trigger, and then, he hits his finisher like once, and then that's it. I'm just not a fan of like those 40-minute matches. And I feel like Buddy Murphy is, like I said, he's better than Kenny Omega. I think he has more charisma. I think that he keeps the matches nice and shorter. And he does a little bit more high flying than Kenny. Some people probably think I'm off my rocker for this, but I legitimately feel like Buddy Murphy is better. Maybe not by much, but I think that he is. And like you guys said, the fans have been behind Buddy Murphy, so I think it's awesome. I'm a little bit worried that he's going to end up like Chad Gable, Finn Balor, Ali, all those other guys that have come up, and it's like, oh, they're going to be so, they're going to get a push, but then they kind of fell in the shuffle. He has generic entrance music that definitely needs a change. But yeah, I like the whole Australian juggernaut gimmick. By the way, Buddy Murphy was engaged to Alexa Bliss, so that's like the world's luckiest man right there.
Well, keyword is was.
Yeah, true. But I'm glad that he's getting, I feel like he's getting a better reaction than Ali did, like you guys said, because I actually heard the Buddy Murphy chants, and I guess he's a babyface now. I don't know.
All right. So, and we all kind of agreed that Buddy Murphy, good for him. Hopefully something comes out of this for him. But you just said he's better than Kenny Omega. Now, I wrote about Kenny Omega years before Kenny Omega was cool, right? AJ was still the leader of the Bullet Club over there, right? And here's the thing. I'm not the biggest fan of where Kenny Omega has gone, but his New Japan stuff, his Bullet Club stuff, he took over for AJ Styles at a critical part for New Japan. He's one of the best, dude. And I don't even think Buddy Murphy's close to him. And I'm not criticizing your opinion because that's yours, but I'm just letting you know my take is he ain't there yet, or he'd be in the main event in WWE, because I think they were going to put Kenny in there, right? They were trying to get him for big bucks.
Yeah, here's the problem, I think, is that's why, this kind of plays into Buddy's gimmick, like the best kept secret, because let's face it, guys, a lot of people don't watch 205 Live, so a lot of people haven't seen what this guy can actually do. So yeah, we'll see with time if he gets pushed to the main event, but I agree that Vince was probably going to strap the rocket to Kenny's ass as soon as he came in. So,
well, I think it's safe to say the same people that watch 205 Live watch New Japan and All Elite, and I've never once ever heard anybody say Buddy Murphy's better than Kenny Omega except you. Maybe you're going to start a trend.
Yeah. So I got one thing to say.
Go
if Kenny Omega was on 205 Live, 205 Live would be the most watched WWE programming. Okay? He is a world talent who has sold out arenas and main evented some of the greatest events of the last 10 years.
And that's
over and over and over. Buddy Murphy, 2 years ago, I've never heard of this guy, but I have known about the cleaner Kenny Omega, who's one of the most creative with his character, reinvents himself every single time, and he is a great performer. So that's like saying Tony Kukoc is as good as Michael Jordan. I can't let it slide.
Well,
did he not work a blow-up doll, and he worked a 9-year-old girl? I mean, I know that's in Japan where everything's quirky, but
the thing about it is that, yes, Kenny Omega has way more star power than Buddy Murphy, but I
that's
feel
what
like
the business is about.
That's true. I just hope that Buddy, hope he proves people wrong, which he already has somewhat. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. We had a little bit of debate on the review. Aaron, you want to add anything, or shall I move on?
Well, TJS, do you think EC3 is as good as Kenny Omega?
Better.
Dude,
good answer.
We have to move on from there because anyway, you know what I was kind of popping for on SmackDown? And we talked about this like maybe 2 years ago. Why did they just wait? They put Sami Zayn out there with Nakamura. Now, the Intercontinental Champion, might I add, are they getting rid of that belt? Are they not getting rid of that belt? We know he can't speak English, and that ultimately hurt his Royal Rumble win, right, with Vince McMahon and the way he perceives that. Sami Zayn jobbing out, losing in seconds, but what has he done really, really good the last several months? Cutting promos as a heel. Sami heel on the mic, to me, is better than any Sami wrestling, and he's a really good wrestler. So I want everybody's take on this. I like this. Chances are it's going to be nothing. It's going to fizzle out. I'd like to see these two on TV all the time, getting shoved down everyone's throats as heels, Nakamura just being quirky in the background, and let Sami take the mic over. Robbie Vice, I'm going to start with you on this. Am I over?
No.
Am I like too excited for something so simple, or should I be?
No, you should be, because that is what old tag teams used to be. You would have a guy who was just phenomenal talent that maybe didn't speak so well, and then you had the other guy who could be the voice of the tag team. This would be a great team, and I don't know why they don't do more of it. Because Sami Zayn right now is gold on the mic. Outside of maybe MJF, I think he's one of the best heels right now. MJF, Jericho, some of these other guys. But yeah, Sami Zayn, at least in WWE, I think he's the number one heel right now, especially on the mic. Nakamura can go. His strong style is great. He's over in his matches. It's just they give him these stupid lines that he just has trouble delivering. He's gotten better, but it's not there yet. You give him a mouthpiece, a manager, or maybe a tag team partner like Sami Zayn. I think that's how you could strap the rocket to him. And he can make money off the things that got him there to begin with, which is his in-ring work. He has never been an English promo guy, so I don't know why they keep trying to make him one. So you should be absolutely excited for that, Virtue.
TJS, piggybacking off of what Rob said, tag team, which, they always fizzle tag teams out, or just manager. Let Sami just kind of, for 6 months or a year, maybe just do matches at house shows, but on TV, just be a manager. Take bumps. Heel manager. I want that. I miss that. I miss Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, Paul Bearers. The list goes on.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of it. So I agree with what Robbie said about Nakamura. He needs to stop trying to cut the promos. Like, the best thing that he did as far as the promo goes is when Renee Young tried to interview him like after WrestleMania or before WrestleMania, and he was just like, "Sorry, no speak English." Like, I thought that was awesome. He needs to, if he's gonna cut promos, give us subtitles. I'm completely cool with that. But Sami Zayn is absolute gold, like you guys said, and I loved it. The thing is, this actually makes sense because Sami Zayn was talking about how he's gonna be, help others, and now he's calling Nakamura an artist who paints his picture in the ring. It makes sense. I love it. And the best thing about it, okay, so yeah, I like Sami Zayn, but the problem is that he's a good wrestler, but in WWE, you have to be more than just a good wrestler. And that's why I love this character development that he's had, this critic of the critics thing. It's been awesome. And I hope that he does manage Nakamura. I know some people were like, oh, this is going to lead to nothing, but this gets both guys on TV, and if they're both heel, I'm completely fine with it. I think it's going to elevate the title. Maybe eventually we get like Sami Zayn versus Nakamura for the title, and then you have Sami just lay down for Nakamura to build the heel heat up. I like it. Aaron, what do you think?
Well, I feel Sami Zayn is one of the best wrestlers in the company. I think he's more than just good. I think he's top tier. I've seen the guy in PWG. I mean,
well, you know what? I mean, I wasn't taking anything away from him. I was just saying, like, you have to have character in WWE too. And as a babyface, he didn't really have that.
Well, I think he was one of the best underdog baby faces they had, and when he turned heel, I was skeptical of it at first.
Well, yeah, but being an underdog is not really a character. It's just like he's a smaller guy that's getting beat up.
Yeah, true. I was wondering if they're gonna end up going to NXT. Like, I keep thinking that with NXT becoming a 2-hour show, you're gonna need some people on there because the whole thing felt really random to me. Sami Zayn showing up all of a sudden on SmackDown. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting him to show up and be paired up with Nakamura. I thought Nakamura was doing his thing with Ali, and that might be dropped now. So I'm wondering if they're going to go back to NXT, and I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I think that would be a good way to get more people watching NXT is to do like this storyline where a bunch of former NXT guys are disgruntled with Raw and SmackDown, and they decide to jump ship back to NXT because they consider NXT to be the real A brand. I don't know if that's the direction, and like you said, this could potentially just completely dissolve within a couple weeks and not even be a thing. They may drop it just as quickly as they got it going. But on paper, I do like the idea. I think Sami Zayn is a mouthpiece, kind of like an Enzo Amore type role, having him take bumps and just trash talking for the champion. I like it. And they could always have a match again at some point. So there's a lot of options. But I do have that fear that they may just drop this right away and it doesn't go anywhere. Hopefully that's not the case. So, Virtue, anything else?
And I shouldn't, I remember back in the day when Rusev Day was taken off, and I was Mr. Old Negative Nancy. And Aaron's really, he just doesn't get invested in anything now because of that. And so my apologies. But I get what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you. What broke your site more than anything the last decade? A promo. CM Punk, right?
Yep.
And so people that like wrestling, Aaron can tell you, the talking gets more attention. So I like Sami being there as a talker for Nakamura. We'll see where it goes. Here's an interesting topic, right? This originally was a filler topic, and then I got to think about it. I really want to know these answers. So we had Vic Joseph on commentary on Raw, right? I missed Raw, all right? I went back and watched it. And I heard a lot of, wow, he's Michael Cole, right? And that's the problem with today's announcers. They're all the same. Back then, JR and Lawler were different. Monsoon and Heenan, McMahon and Lawler, they had the perfect combos together, right? You'd have the people that were color commentary, the people that would call the moves, even if they didn't know moves like Vince McMahon. What a maneuver! Today, what's the best? We can do 2 or 3 out of anybody employed. It could be a worker. It doesn't have to be an announcer. What would be the best 3 or 2-person panel? Robbie, I'm going to start with you because I really want to know. I know who is going to be unanimous in this out of one guy, but go make your fantasy announce team because WWE needs we need this to go viral and they need to listen.
I would have I would honestly have Michael Cole on that team. I would have Mike Tenay and I would have Jim Cornette. That would be my dream team for three-headed commentary.
Okay, and that's fine, but currently employed.
Oh, currently employed.
Bringing people in, I get it. There you go. That's out there, but out of the WWE bubble and NXT bubble.
So Mauro Ranallo would be number 1. I would probably have Corey Graves on there, but tell him to stick to either a heel or face commentary. And you know what? I would have Renee there just as someone who could have, like, she could fill that Mike Tenay role. Maybe not have the reaction every time something happens, but have little tidbits that she could chime in with, little facts and things like that. I think that would be a better role for her on commentary than trying to do, the oh no, just stupid reactions that I just feel like it's a soundboard. She presses a button over and over. I don't want that anymore. But if we could have her doing that and the other 2 guys doing their thing, I think that's the best thing that WWE could do right now.
Okay, interesting. Now, Aaron, I figure you to be one that would pick a 2-man team because don't you enjoy those more? I'm just curious on your take. You can do 2 or 3. It's up to you. But what do you think?
Keep it simple, Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves. And like Robbie said, have Corey be a clear heel. Don't have him go back and forth. Have him be, a full-fledged heel. I like that. Keep it simple. The three-man team, the only time that worked for me was in WCW with Mike Tenay, because Tenay was the third guy that actually served a different purpose from the other two. The problem is with the three-man team, everyone's basically doing the same thing. And even Michael Cole would sometimes act like a heel, or Renee Young would end up siding with a heel. And it's like, it just, they're all basically doing the same thing, and they're just clones of each other. I mean, TJS, I know you like Vic Joseph, but man, he just sounded like he was reading Michael Cole's script on Raw. I was not impressed. I know you like him, though.
Yeah, so for mine, I'm going to have to say Byron Saxton, Renee Young, and Michael... No. On a serious note, of course, Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, and Booker T. That would be my three, if I had to pick three. Look, I know you guys
say that one more time. I'm trying to let it soak in. Go one by one.
Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, Booker T.
So you're picking the NXT team, but replacing Beth Phoenix with Booker?
With Booker T,
Okay, yes. Elaborate.
Okay, so I love Nigel McGuinness. I don't need to explain Mauro, but I think Nigel McGuinness has like a really good... He has a good accent, and I feel like he is one of the more intelligent announcers. Like, he always talks about limb psychology, things of that nature. He knows a lot of the workers, so he talks about the history like that. And then, I mean, you got Booker T there. He could be the baby face. He could do his shucky ducky quack quack. I just like Booker T. I know
you don't
guys...
want to add JBL to this channel, make it a 4-person?
No EC3?
No. I like for him to stay in the ring, but I honestly though, I don't know why, but you guys have no love for Booker T. And I enjoy Booker T. Like when he called... What?
Have you seen the YouTube video where they just put a compilation together of him going, ugh, and it's just like 20 minutes long?
Oh my goodness.
Right.
We're not taking away anything from Booker T in the ring and what he did as a wrestler.
Listen, hashtag bring back Booker. And when he called it, why did this man call into Skype on Raw? Like, there's no reason, but he did it because he's Booker T. 5-time.
Speaking of Booker T and Skype, like somebody on Twitter brought up the idea, and I like this, where he does another Skype session next week, and Bray Wyatt attacks him during the Skype section.
Hey, I thought he should have done that like the same night. I thought it would be cool to think of the Fiend as somebody that can, I guess, teleport. Since the lights go out and everything, you could have Bray show up at Booker's house. I think that would be cool.
But if not Booker T, they need to do it with somebody, where somebody's doing the Skype session and Bray Wyatt attacks them during their Skype interview.
Yeah,
we talked about how they're not like overexposing Bray, and that thing with Lawler on Raw was pretty good. I still would like some Firefly Funhouses though.
Me too.
Even if it was like every other week, they could do a couple a month. I mean, come on, those can't take that long to record. But back to the announced team, I would go 3, and I would tell you why. The play-by-play, Mauro Ranallo. Everybody knows he blocked me on Twitter. I said I didn't like him. Yada yada yada. I've then since kind of somewhat changed my tune, right? Because today's style of wrestling. Right, that's why JR can't do it. Ranallo can. So Ranallo would be the play-by-play guy. Corey Graves is a heel. Heel only. Don't badmouth the heels. Do the Bobby Heenan. You love all the heels. Do the Jesse Ventura. But I would also have Michael Cole in there because you need a WWE hype man. So Mauro can do his thing, and Corey Graves can be his heel, and then Cole can do the big dog and do his WWE promo. 3, and I know 2 is still ideal for old school people, but that's what I would do.
So wait. The way that you think it should work is like you have Michael Cole do all like and up next we have this match, and then when the match starts you have Mauro.
Yeah. And Cole can say stuff during the match, but like really that's Mauro's job with Corey coming in as the heel guy.
And like before the commercial breaks, like, can the big dog get back in this? We'll find out next.
Make him more like the host of Raw kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
It's simple formula. I don't understand why they can't do it, but I'm sure it's egos and politics. And Michael Cole's more worried about, saying Pat McAfee's wearing shorts and tattling to Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Okay. Real quick about Michael Cole. So Kayfabe Candy has said that with all due respect, Sasha, no one's talking about your blue hair. He said that was Michael Cole's best line since the anal bleeding line.
You go. I mean, it's done properly. It can be done, but the problem is, you get Tom Phillips or whoever the other guy is on SmackDown, Vic Joseph, and they're literally, you think they're Michael Cole. So
have them too, and Michael Cole.
He would still be on the NXT team. So I'm not knocking him, but I'm talking main roster. So, but again, Ronaldo, he doesn't want to do any of that. So this is all merely fantasy predicting. So anyway, let's go to the main event. And so guess what? Like, Robbie Vice, you and I kind of hinted at this, a month or so ago, that WWE is going to keep trying to do stuff to disrupt AEW. And we all know that All Elite Wrestling is going to be on TNT on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10.
Yeah.
We knew NXT was already on the network from 8 to 9, right? And we were thinking, man, are they going to make it a 2-hour show on the network? I did not think at all they were going to jump to USA. Now, yes,
right, yeah.
USA is losing SmackDown to Fox. I figured they were just content with Raw. Here we are now. NXT is moving to USA Network on Wednesday nights to go head-to-head against All Elite Wrestling. Now, guess what? I've heard all the, the Meltzer rumors or whatever. I've heard anywhere from 700,000 to 1.5 million is what AEW might draw their first week. I've heard different numbers, right? I've heard high numbers. There's no way it's going to get what Raw and SmackDown did. Not yet.
Probably
if
it
does, I'll be like, wow, I was wrong. Okay. But we know NXT did have a debut on USA Network once, and it drew what, Aaron? 750, 800,000?
Right.
Which is kind of right in that bubble what people expect AEW to do on TNT, and maybe a little bit more. So here we are. Who wants to take this? Because this is happening. We're going to have a Wednesday night war. Robbie, I'm going to start with you. Go for it. And who's trying to start the war, by the way? I'm interested in everyone's take on this.
Vince! Of course it's Vince. Why would Vince not start the war? Vince wants to squash this before it becomes a real problem, right? He's setting up rat traps before he sees the rat because he wants to catch this thing. This is the smartest thing they could have done. And from everything I've read, people need to calm down because Triple H is still going to be in charge. He's still going to be seeing it. Yes, it's going to be a 2-hour show, but it's going to be kind of like having TakeOver every single Wednesday. I think as long as they can keep things streamlined, it's going to be phenomenal. You're going to have some of the greatest people that are going to be competing against AEW. Okay, you are going to have some great tag teams, and you have the Velveteen Dream. That is like their Stone Cold Steve Austin. That is their saving grace. This is going to be absolutely incredible. This is going to be better than some of the later Monday Night Wars because Triple H and these guys and the NXT guys, they always bring it every single time. AEW has a lot to prove, and when those things come together, I think who wins is the fans. I am absolutely stoked for this. It's going to be amazing.
Now, Aaron, is this going to be live or taped? I did not read that info.
Live every week.
Your turn. Take it. That makes it all the more better.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like Robbie said, it's going to be a very exciting time to be a fan, to watch these shows. Now, who started it? I mean, that is very much up for debate. The question is, if AEW had gone to Tuesday nights, would NXT have moved to Tuesday nights? I don't know. That's the big question. I don't know if they would have. I think it could be a case of poking the bear, AEW going on Wednesday night, which has been where NXT has been all this time. And there has, to be fair to WWE, there's been talk for about a year now that NXT would be moving.
Well, they
to
did
FS1.
that test show on USA. I'm sure they did that for a reason.
There was talk about NXT going to FS1 and becoming a live show and expanding and becoming like the actual third brand, which that in itself is very much a debate. Should this even be happening? Should NXT be an equal brand? I mean, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of a developmental territory when you have NXT as an equal show to Raw and SmackDown? Is it going to go the route of ECW in 2006 where it's going to become watered down? When the ratings going to be disappointing, and then you're going to start seeing Roman Reigns on NXT and Randy Orton on NXT.
Russo said that. He said that already.
Right. So
good point.
Yeah. I'm very, very curious to see what these numbers are for the first week. I mean, NXT is going to get the jump start, and I think they're going to easily clear a million because you look at Miz and Maurice. That's just a reality show, and they're doing around 1 million viewers. And I think Steve Austin's new show has been doing over 1 million viewers or close to 1 million viewers. So yeah, with all the hype for NXT and WWE builds it up on Raw and SmackDown, I think for those first 2 weeks, at least the first week, I think they're going to clear 1 million viewers. AEW, I think if they were not head-to-head with NXT, I think that they would have cleared 1 million for their first week. Now I don't know. I could see both shows head-to-head doing very close. I could see both of them getting close to 1 million viewers, but not quite. So I could see like maybe 800,000 versus 900,000. That's my early prediction right now for the numbers, but I'm sure everybody's going to have their numbers that they throw around. But I think that's a nice conservative guess. It's going to be like 900,000 versus 800,000. I don't know who's going to win that first week, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays up. And if both shows clear 1 million, then that's great for wrestling. That's a sign that we're going to have a new boom period, that they're actually drawing in casual fans. If both shows can do over 1 million views head to head, that's a great sign for the future. So TGS, your thoughts on what might end up happening and any predictions at this stage of the game?
Well, did you say something about Stone Cold's new show? Straight up, Steve Austin. It's less talk and more show. Oh my God. Seriously though, it's like Robbie said. Vince is the one that's starting this war. He's throwing all the gasoline onto the fire. AEW was trying to be peaceful. You know, they were gonna go live on Wednesdays because they weren't ready.
Peaceful by having Cody destroy Triple H's throne.
Don't take my thunder. It's not my turn yet. Like he's talking about Vince. He's agreeing with Robbie that Vince is starting this war.
You know what I'm saying. Like AEW knew that they weren't ready to get their ass whooped by WWE just yet. They were gonna try to build it up a little bit, but Vince is saying, I guess Stone Cold would say he's not allowing that to happen. He's stopping that pissant company. I feel like so the thing with NXT is that it's going to be available on the network the next day, and that's what makes me feel like Vince is like, yeah, put NXT on USA, that'll show him, because yeah, NXT was on Wednesday nights before, but it was taped and it wasn't on cable TV. It's going to be reaching a lot more homes now since it's on mainstream cable TV. And that's why I feel like they're going to be competing with AEW. As far as Vince getting involved, yeah, I could see Triple H maybe maintaining control for a little bit. But eventually, you know that Vince is going to see it. He's going to see, oh, who's that Matt Riddle guy? Put him in a tag team with Zack Ryder. Like something like that's going to happen, I feel like, because of the bro gimmick. It's just Vince McMahon. Like he's out of touch, and I feel like if he gets his fingerprints on NXT, it's doomed. But if not, if Triple H gets to maintain control and keep steering the ship, then it's like you guys said, we could have a new boom period. We could create new wrestling fans, which I believe is what needs to happen. NXT it's a lot less corny than the main roster. It's a little more edgy, so I feel like it's a more similar product as to what AEW is. So it's going to be very interesting. I think that people are going to watch AEW live instead of NXT mostly because, like I said, NXT is going to be on demand the next day. And plus, so the problem with NXT having a head start is that people, like, shows always, like, their first episode, the pilot episode, usually draws a lot. And people are going to see 2 weeks of NXT, and then that third week they're going to say, oh, we need to see AEW's debut. We need to see that. So I figured they'll choose that over NXT, and then just... as far as the 2 hours go, I feel like it's going to be fine. Like, there's no reason to worry. Because, like I said, if Triple H maintains control, maybe we'll see the cruiserweights move to Full Sail. I like that they're staying at Full Sail. I think that if they tried to go to like arenas, and this would kind of be like a problem with drawing, but if NXT stays the same and it's just another hour, completely fine with me. I think we're in for one hell of a ride.
So I don't think Vince McMahon's starting this. He runs a $1 billion company that's got a stock price, which, by the way, is funny. In the past week, it's went up. I still think it's going to flatline 60 to 65 per share. But anyway. Why would you not want more of your product on TV, cable television? Yeah, your network, 1.5 million paid subscribers, whatever they're at, 2 million if you count the free subscriptions. Why would you not want another TV deal, even if it's a smaller one? So regardless if AEW was there or not, I think this was going to happen. They did the pilot on USA and got about 800,000 viewers a year or so ago. It's all planned for a reason. The fact that it's up against AEW on Wednesday night, I think it's a coincidence because that's the night AEW chose to do their show. Vince McMahon is not starting a war. He's just continuing making his company big, huge monopoly, even though there's a lot of other wrestling companies, worldwide, global. Cody Rhodes and AEW are the ones taking those jabs with hitting the throne with the sledgehammer. They're the ones starting the war, in my opinion.
Well,
so what do you want to add to that?
In the press release, I think it said something about them moving NXT to USA to try to monetize it or something, because apparently they've been losing money on it. But I think the problem here is that you're kind of weakening the network by taking NXT off, because for a while I believe that NXT was like the most watched thing on the network. Yeah, I mean, it's still a great deal. You still get your special events and your takeovers every month, but
what are you weakening? What are you weakening? You get pay-per-views used to be $30 to $50, okay? And you got all that library all together in one lump sum for $10 a month. What are you weakening?
Well, I
Some
think
people
it's
don't like to watch TV like on USA. You know, they have to DVR it. Well, they can still watch it on the network. I don't think it's weakening anything for the network.
Right. This is extra revenue for WWE, and they're going to be
advertisement for the network.
And they're taping at Full Sail University, so it's not like they're going to be traveling from city to city across the country. At least not right now. Yeah, Robbie.
I actually think this is better for the network because you're going to get a lot more eyes on NXT, and you're going to have a lot more people wanting to subscribe to watch the TakeOver events. So I think this is just going to do anything. It's going to jack up network subscriptions. I think this is a huge plus for them. And it's really going to be no risk because guess what? They already have an installed fan base for NXT that's probably about as big as the AEW fan base. So this is just, I don't want to say free money because that doesn't exist, but it's as close to free money as you can get.
so.
CTGS, they get $10 a month for a subscription, right? But like when NXT's on there, they don't get any extra ad money or anything. You put it on a network. Because remember, there was a time I thought Raw and SmackDown, everything should go to the network. WWE they'd have to charge like $25 a month for the network. So this makes sense if you look at it that way. But I get what you're saying, though, because you're thinking less exclusive stuff to the network.
Yeah, that's actually pretty true. Do you guys think that 205 Live should merge with NXT then?
Yeah,
probably.
Now, more than ever. Yeah.
Quite frankly, I would merge. I'm not a fan of doing all these extensions of NXT like NXT UK. I would just merge everything together.
I don't like that either. And that's another thing about the 2 hours. People are worried. But think about all the guys that you have there that aren't getting TV time on a weekly basis. Keith Lee. You have Matt Riddle, Adam Cole, Johnny. The list goes on with people that you could fill those 2 hours with.
Yep.
Will R-Truth show up there by mistake?
That would be funny, though. I mean, at least you got possibilities. And
that's right.
So, like, I don't knock WWE or Vince McMahon or Triple H for doing this. It makes sense from their business. And, yeah, we know that they can't sell house shows and SmackDown's tarped off. But, I mean, you got to try somewhere to start reinventing the wheel, and why not? You know, and their mindset is, who cares if domestic numbers are down? We're reaching global. And if the more we're on TV, and I don't know if USA Network goes outside the continental United States, but regardless, the more things they have that's out there on the tube, digitally, this and that, they're getting their reach globally. So you might have smaller draws at house shows here, at SmackDowns. Some of this merch might be down. You might not have your big lead guy like Cena, and because Roman's not quite fitting the bill, but yet they're global, and that's why they're a $5 billion, $6 billion company, right? Yep. And he knows that he's getting his money from networks, from countries, right? I'm sure if he wasn't getting that money, he would know he has to do something to get money again from live people in attendance and ratings. Because he did that in 96, 97, and 98. He went way outside the box with the Attitude Era. So don't say that he's just making money elsewhere where he doesn't have to do any of that creative stuff yet, and there's fans that are jaded because of it. That's just my take, but that's all I got. Dude, that was a great discussion, man. Couldn't we talk about, you know what, let's just not talk about it anymore. Put your comments in the comments below because we want to hear your thoughts on this whole NXT WWE versus AEW coming up soon on Wednesday nights. With that said, let's do our plugs. TJS, I will start with you.
NoDQ.com/TJS takes you to my Facebook page. Feel free to add me. Twitter at NoDQ_TJS. And then PlayStation Network, Tyler Joseph Smith. Keeping it short and sweet. Go ahead, Robbie.
Well, you guys can follow me on Twitter at NoDQVice. Give me a follow. Let me know what you think of the things I talk about here. Tell me why I'm the smartest person in the room or why I'm the dumbest person you've ever talked to. Give me some feedback. Looking forward to it. Aaron?
All right. So head over to NoDQ.com/merch. You can get the NoDQ hat. We also got the shirts. Check it out. Virtue's Troll Slayer shirt in black, by the way.
Yep.
So head over there, NoDQ.com/merch, and stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the very latest. And that's all I got. So Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Great discussion as always. And again, Big G was on assignment this time. We sent him to a KISS concert at Hershey Park because he was looking for those WCW 2000 characters.
Well, yeah, and I was also asking him, like, let us know, did the crowd react as much to their set list today as the crowd did back on that Nitro in 1999?
Yeah. And
I
by the
actually
way,
did get word, by the way. He did agree with everything you said tonight, Virtue.
well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, for the record, if you wanted to hear his takes, just go watch this video again to re-listen everything I said. And Big G is close to agreement. But, Big G does argue with me from time to time. I just got to pull it out of him. So I can't wait, Big G, until you're back because I'm coming for you. But anyway, I'm Virtue. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Facebook, NoDQ.com/Virtue with the lowercase v. That's all I got. For Robbie Vice, for TGS, for Aaron Riff, and for Big G way over there in Hershey, PA, I'm Virtue. See you next time.